Hey guys, welcome to SOP Mix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para conan abrir. SOP Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde cutar. SOP Mix Studio, powered by Subway. Passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Cucheta localidade Ronde Aruba. Não está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swing Masters. Organizando events, conferences ou weddings. Mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing ou flat screen. Swing Masters está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. Swing Masters. E agora, SOP Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentar.
Are we all in a festive mood or what? Well, welcome to the third episode of Stima, Autista, the podcast with its mission to create awareness of autism in Aruba and perhaps the world. As you can see, we are all donning our Christmas hats here in this studio because we're in a festive mood as we're in the holiday season. Ooh. And today we are all focusing on the holidays and the tips for all of you out there who have a child with autism or other person with special needs. My name is Byron Lassier. Of course, he's wearing the red Santa hat. And my co-host Kay also wears a Santa hat.
Yes.
And we have two guests here in this podcast. One wearing in green and red, of course, the president of Fundacion Aruba and host of one of the other podcasts from Sopi Mix, Sincerely Carolina Thiel-Span. And on the other side, we have an intern from the University of Aruba, Miguel Aceros. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, as you know, it has been a great year for Fundacion Autismo Aruba, and we have to begin with reflecting on what we did in the current year, 2021, as we focus into the new year of 2022. So, Carolina, we have to reflect on what had happened for Fundacion in this current year and what we're looking for in the future.
Hi, Byron. Thank you for having me once again in your podcast.
Thank you.
And indeed, it was a very good year. Let me see. So it wasn't just a good year because we had awesome campaigns, but also the policy level and project level, we really worked on pushing for changes that we really wanted to see. So at the beginning of the year, we were really busy with different sessions on Zoom, right? We didn't have them in person considering the current situation with the pandemic. So we had I think it was like 9 to 12 sessions on Zoom. We had different interns who helped us with this. So we had Oriana, we had Leanne, but we also had Jerianne and Shaylee. They worked on different guides, which we will be launching next year. We had a fidget guide made. We had a what to do when you have a diagnosis of autism guide. Besides that, we also had pop-up shops, right, Kay? You really like indeed. Those. Where we had fundraisers, but we're also able to have that opportunity to spread the word about Fundacion Autismo Aruba and what is important to us. And let me think, what else did we have? We had lectures for special companies that requested this, which was really nice. Light It Up Blue.
That's right.
Light It Up Blue was, wow, mission. But we were able to light up the lighthouse blue for a little bit, but we also had a lot of companies who participated with us to create awareness. So that was really awesome. And on the more legislative level, we presented to Parliament, we presented to the ministers. We were able to push a project forward within the Social Crisis Plan, and I will be talking about that on Monday in my show. But we started working on an early intervention system, which was something that for Fundacion Autismo was really important to work on. Fundacion, so assessing children from a younger age. And now we have the holiday campaigns. Oh, inclusion at work.
Yes.
Byron,
That's right.
that's like you're like the star of the inclusion at work project. So I am really happy with how this year went. And of course, we couldn't have done this without the support of everyone who either supports us through like donations, by sharing our stuff. But of course, without the people that made all of this possible. So like I already mentioned, we had some awesome interns. We're sitting here with Miguel, who will talk about our last campaign for the year. But also thank you to you, Byron and Kay, for being such amazing ambassadors of Fundacion Autismo Aruba, being examples of autistic young adults going above and beyond, doing different things in, your own areas of interest. So I love it, and thank you so much. And here we are, right? We have a podcast show. We had newsletters. We transitioned from a newsletter to a podcast because people like listening better than reading. So we learn, we grow. So I'm so happy to be here and reflect on this awesome year.
And thank you for being an awesome president.
Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much for being a great president of this foundation. And for me, it is an awesome honor to be here at Fundacion Autismo Aruba. At first, when I was staying at home, was being bored, all those like that. But right now, look at me now. Look at you now.
Yes.
Look at all of us. We're here working for inclusion, and the goal is being achievable. And we're going further into the new year.
Thank you, Byron. So yes, and indeed, like you said, it all started from a very casual way, right? I just told Byron, I told Kay, like, listen, I know you may not be as busy because of COVID and everything. Let's work on stuff. So thank you for taking on that challenge and staying on that challenge. I think that now when we think of Fundacion Autismo Aruba, people think about Byron's face and Kay's face. And I love that because that was the idea as well, that, it's for me, it was really important to not only preach about inclusion, but be like the image of that. So thank you.
All right, then. So then, we have more to come for the forthcoming year, 2022. Also for the podcast, we will have major updates to come, but you have to stay pending for Supplement Studio on Instagram and Facebook for further information and details for future podcasts in 2022. All right, we're going to the deep dive into the news. We summarized the news to make sure if we have to put it into a right way. So we've summarized it. We begin with the update on the latest news, starting with COP26. In the previous episode of Stima Autista, the podcast, we learned that in the previous podcast, the new world leaders were there in Glasgow, Scotland for the COP26 conference. We can tell you now that they struck a deal in the Glasgow Climate Agreement, which has the topics on coal, on the global warming, and also for greenhouse gases, you know that?
Yes.
And right now, there's some skepticism from youth activists and also from some world leaders, but others say it could be the last hope. In our local news for this period between the second half of November and some days in December, there was talks about the salary cut, 12.6%. For semi-public and public workers, and public work unions like CIMAR, SIWA, SPA are not happy with this cut. It was used, of course, during the coronavirus crisis here in Aruba, and right now they're finding hard to get to say that they won't get the 12.6%. So we're going to keep you updated in the future podcasts on what it will develop at this instance. But we can tell you the good news in the airport business in our Queen Beatrix Airport. Earlier in November, we welcomed a new airliner, Frontier Airlines. Air Frontier is a low-cost carrier that travels right now currently to Miami, to Aruba. But in 2022, they will fly to Orlando and Denver. But that's going to be in planning for projections for the Queen Beatrix Airport and for Frontier. Alongside with that, there has been major updates regarding the Gateway 2030 project, which is the construction of the new expanded U.S. terminal and baggage hall. We will have a state-of-the-art baggage hall in the future until in 2024, but it's currently in Phase 1A. But we'll have more new jobs for the airport and for our economy. And yeah, we will have a lot of pleasure to see what the airport did in the future. We will have, of course, the airport will update us with their newsletters called Innovating Happiness. So you can catch it anytime at the airport website every month. Now, in health news, world news, we know that we are in the good news of the coronavirus pandemic, but unfortunately, there has been a new variant called Omicron. And Omicron was first emerged in South Africa. Right now, most of the world are barred to travel to South Africa. But more than 40 countries, the Omicron variant was spotted in the Netherlands, in Europe, in the United States. And we have to be more cautious on the Omicron variant. Although we still do not have enough data yet on the Omicron variant, it is important to take measures to wash your hands, to take distance from others, to wear a mask, and even to take a shot. Even if you like it or not, you can. If it's your choice, you can take the shot, either first of 2 vaccines or the booster shot. We will be getting through this together. Now, in the light of sports, did you know that Aruba shined in Colombia at the inaugural Junior Pan American Games, which was organized by Pan Am Sports, with 2 gold medals and a silver medal in swimming. Patrick Groters did the job for Aruba with 2 gold and 1 silver in the inaugural Junior Pan American Games.
I think he even broke a record, right?
You betcha. You betcha. He did broke a record. I'm going to give him a Pan American record, I believe. And yeah, Aruba shined bright in Colombia, along with 41 other countries from the Americas as they converged in Cali, Colombia for the Junior Pan American Games. Awesome. It also serves as a qualifier for the 2023 Santiago Pan American Games. Nice. And also, there was a closing ceremony. And yeah, we're so proud to Aruba and to the athletes who did their job in the Junior Pan American Games and beyond. Well, for me, next year, I have a surprise for you guys next year, but I'm not going to tell you in the podcast yet. In future podcasts, I'll tell you as it develops ahead.
I mean, I think you can mention, right, the Aruba One Healthy Day.
Yes.
Okay, I think you can mention it because it's already they already had the press conference. So maybe just shortly let everyone know as our part of inclusion. That was also a huge accomplishment. I didn't mention it in my recap because I wanted you to bring it up. So Baron, tell us about the One Healthy Day.
Exactly. One Healthy Day is a collaborational project between Livy Silvani Company and One Happy Bowl. Yes. And it's to address to how for us need to be healthy in these circumstances. Of course, we'll have a lot of events around Aruba in 2022. It will be on Sunday, March 20th, 2022. I'm so happy to be an ambassador for the event, along with other ambassadors from the project. There are also windsurfing champion Sarakita, radio personality Ruben Scorpio Garcia, shout out to him. And also we have the news personality Larissa Bermudez, who also joined One Happy Bowls, One Healthy Day. And I'm so proud to be part of this project and going further. So I have more information on that. So we encourage you to go to the Facebook of One Healthy U Aruba, which is also posted, of course, multiple updates from One Healthy Day. All right. Now we can get to the conversation, to the holiday tips.
Yes.
And, of course, Kay is ready. Are you ready? We're ready to begin with the conversation. So I will start with you, Carolina, with the first question.
Okay.
What are things to consider at a Christmas dinner for people with autism?
All right. So I think that as December started, dinners have started, right? Most of the dinners right now are with work, and we may have started hearing coworkers or colleagues, right, from organizations saying things like that they have special diets. So maybe you will have a colleague that will say like, oh, they're gluten free or they're vegetarian or vegan. So these are things that we now, I think, are accustomed to hearing and accustomed to catering to. So we plan accordingly, right? But as we go further into December, we start to think about the big family dinners and big family lunches and happenings. And there because we already know like our family group, we tend to be aware if somebody, can't eat, I don't know, pork or something. But something that we have noticed is that there is still not that level of understanding, especially for children with autism who have sensory issues. What does that mean? Food isn't, the same for everyone. So, and some of us may understand what I'm trying to say here. So maybe some of us don't like biting into apples. I absolutely hate biting into apples. I don't like how that feels in my mouth. But I, for example, really love oranges that have big pulps. So that is something that I really enjoy eating. So these are food textures that do not necessarily have anything to do with the taste of the food, but are triggers that we have in our taste buds and in our sensory system in our mouth, right? That we either enjoy or don't like at all. For somebody who has sensory processing disorder or like autism, but even children in general, new foods or different foods might be a trigger. What this means is that it's very important for us to communicate this. So if you know that your child or your sibling or your family member who has a sensory processing disorder or is autistic and does not like, I don't know, something like rice, or maybe they do like rice, but they don't like rice that has stuff in it. So sometimes, we'll have like arroz con pollo. That's like a very popular rice type during the season. But it has like vegetables in it that are soggy, or may become soggy. And then you have like the chicken. So it's a bunch of different textures mixed in like one plate. And this may create, a sensory overload or a sense of like not wanting to eat that. And some people are very serious about the food they cook. So if somebody doesn't want to eat what they're cooking, then, they feel offended or something. So it's important to communicate that beforehand. Parents, if there's a way that you can, make sure that you prepare that dish that your child or family member really likes, do it, right? I know that it shouldn't always be your responsibility to make sure that your child is accommodated, but sometimes it will spare you a discussion. So, try bringing it up. If your child likes really dry foods and they don't like, for example, saucy foods, let the person know, the host, if they can accommodate this. And if they can't, just bring like a Tupperware. And we shouldn't be embarrassed about this. This way, we don't have a discussion at the table about whether or not the child should eat that meal. But we can just focus on the fun conversations that usually happens at the table. So this is really important. Be conscious and be considerate of other needs. If you are hosting a dinner or a lunch or a party, ask your guests if there are special diets or needs that you may consider. So you may have some people that have food allergies, but also intolerances. You may have some children with ADHD or autism that are on special diets where they are avoiding certain components. So maybe like they're avoiding high sugar foods or high carb foods or high gluten foods. So ask them and be honest as well. So if you're hosting a dinner and somebody tells you like, okay, this is my list of dietary needs, and if you feel like you cannot accommodate this, maybe because you just don't know what is required to prepare that food according to those needs, be honest. Tell them, I tried, but these are my options. Would this work or not? And can we order something from another place, or would it be too much trouble for you to bring that one person's food? So don't make it an issue, but be open to that and be aware that the importance should be on spending time, quality time together, sharing and enjoying that moment, and not so much whether or not they are eating grandma's arroz con pollo or auntie's ayaka. So focus on what's important. That's what I want to.
Well, that brought me to a flashback.
Really?
Yeah, the flashback was my mom, at first instance, restrict me from eating corn. And that brought me a lot of craziness. That could give me a lot of hyperness. But right now, when I grew up, when I first tried corn in a long time, it didn't get me hyperness a lot. So I'm so glad that I grew out from the hyper scheme.
Exactly.
And I love to eat corn at this, not all the time, but occasionally.
In moderation, and that's the thing, right? These things change. So I think that the flashback that you brought up is a really interesting one, because imagine if somebody thinks every time like, we don't want to invite Byron and his family because they're gonna look out for corn, for example, right? And then you may not want to invite somebody because of that situation, but throughout time, that child or person may have adjusted. Maybe they now do like arroz con pollo. Maybe they now are allowed to eat corn. So don't let that be a reason for you to exclude a person or a whole family to be part of your dinner.
That's right. And I also love arroz con pollo. All right.
I love it too.
All right. Now, besides of the foods and the Christmas dinner and all the things, but we have to know we all love gifts. However, for an autistic child, it's complicated. So, how do you talk to an autistic child about a specific gift?
Okay, so I think that adults and children have noticed that our favorite stores have started to share their holidays catalogs, right? So we see a bunch of stuff that we really, really love. So yesterday I got a catalog from my friend's store and I was looking at it and I'm like, I want everything, but I can't have everything, right? And what happens when an autistic child, or what can happen, it doesn't always happen, but it can happen, is that it's important for you to be honest with them back. So we know this, like the stereotype, right, of a autistic person is that they're very honest or very blunt. What does this mean? So what you can have is that maybe they go to grandma's house and then grandma bought a random gift that they thought was really, really cute, but it wasn't on the child's like wish list. And then they open it and they'll be like, I don't like this. And although more children may feel this way, children learn from a very young age how to mask those emotions and how to be polite, let's call it that way. So some kids will be like, okay, and then they'll go home and then they'll tell mom, like, I didn't like it. But that autistic child might immediately say that, which may cause discomfort or disappointment, and people might get angry. And depending on the receptive person's level of defensiveness, let's put it that way, or, how they react to, maybe gifts are really special to them, they may get hurt and they may get mad at that point, right? So they may yell at the child and say things like, oh, maybe they'll say things like you're ungrateful, which are really big words for children to hear. And they'll turn around and tell mom, like, why is your child so spoiled, So I know that we tend to see it from that perspective. And yes, we should be grateful for all gifts. But in the case with autistic children, ideally start talking about gifts early on. So why? Because it's not that you're teaching them that they're always going to get what they want, but since you're going to get them a gift anyway, why not give them something that they really want or really like that might not cause a problem? So sit down, look at the catalogs together, have the child like circle or point at the things that they want. Some things may be out of budget. That's fine. But at least what are things that they want for sure, that they would appreciate and want to play with for sure. Also keep in mind that autistic children may not like certain toys because they're noisy, the texture feels off, or they may have like a hyper fixation on a topic. So if they're obsessed with dinosaurs and then you get them a car, they'll be like, I didn't want a car, I wanted another dinosaur. So these are all things to keep in mind. And because this is the season of just like giving and being happy, be aware of that too, right? Be aware that you probably can find something within that person's interest within your budget. So that means that you have to put a little time into it as well. So try not to be like selfish and um think about the person that you're giving that gift, because you're giving that person a gift. So it's not about you, it's about that person. And I can foresee some comments or, some parents or some family members going like, Carolina, but, it's not that we want to be selfish and stuff. And the word selfish is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that we need to be able to measure when to truly be selfish for like ourselves and when to truly be considerate. So that's all I'm asking. Be aware, have an open conversation about it, and just try to make it as pleasant as possible for everybody, right?
Oh, she got me. Because when I was young, I was tending to find a specific gift, but I didn't notice that the gifts could be expensive. So last Christmas, I got new clothes, and they're nice. They're so nice, but we have to be extra careful on those gifts because it could be expensive or not.
Yep.
So we have to be extra careful.
So it can also be a moment of teaching, right? So catalogs nowadays, so if you look at toy catalogs, they come with prices. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. So let them know what reasonable budgets are. So an example is if you tell them they're going to go to grandma's, ask grandma, like, what are you planning to get them? How much are you planning to spend on? So you can tell the child, if the budget is 25, write the number down. And I have done this with my nieces since forever, since they were like, as soon as they learned numbers, we did that. I would stick something like a number, I would put like 25, and they would go through the catalog and try to find something that is under 25, right? And sometimes you'll see something that is like 26 or 27, and they'll come to me and be like, tan chicaro, and then I'll say like, okay, that's reasonable, you can circle it. So teach them as well to be aware of the cost of the things that they like. So it's a very nice learning opportunity as well, where both sides can benefit from it.
Correct. Both sides, it's a win-win situation.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready to answer the question for Miguel?
Yes. So my question is, what are things that parents should talk about with people that are visiting?
We have to take in consideration from the parent. It's always I have not been in that situation of the parent, to be honest. And I also don't have any family members with autism or ADHD. So for me, this is a very new topic to learn about. But the parents should also talk to the person that they're visiting, if it's a family member or a friend, beforehand, let them know that, hey, listen, we're going to bring him over, him or her, them, take in consideration that this might happen. So, avoid the
Triggers, maybe?
triggers, yes. Awkward conversations as well. Questions that might be also harmful. Sometimes some people don't want to hear some things, or they don't feel comfortable answering some questions. So, avoid those type of things as well. Maybe sometimes also stares trigger certain emotions in some people. So also avoid some stares. Like Carolina said, with the food, also having consideration like the food, if there's a special diet, things like that. So there's a lot of topics that should be in consideration when going to someone else's house for the holidays.
All right. My next question is actually already answered. I'm gonna switch a little bit. We're going back on gifts.
Okay.
Do you have any tips for getting clothes as gifts or gifting clothes? Because some kids have like texture problems, or
Yes, that is right. And I've also noticed that with me, as I get older, I enjoy much more getting clothes as gifts than getting other things. Because when I was younger, I always wanted like, oh yeah, I want this toy, or I want that gadget, whatever. But now as I get older, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I want more clothes.
Yes.
But that's with me, I don't know if anyone else has the same feeling. But Yeah, I would just say like with the textures, ask your child as well, like, hey, is this comfortable for you? Do you feel uh good while wearing this? And considering also the weather here in Aruba, some clothes are very hot, and they don't feel comfortable when you go out. So also like ask them if when they go out in the sun or so, they feel if it's warm or if it's itchy, things like that.
And I want to add to that what you were saying, right? When you're a child, getting closest gift is like, but now it's like fun. Something like
Yes.
socks. Like socks are something that when you were younger, probably you didn't really like. But my husband loves socks now, right? But he's an adult. So I want you all to keep in mind when you're shopping for gifts, be aware of age groups, right? And we now have magical phones, little computers in our hands, where you can Google gift guides depending on ages. And can I just say avoid giving clothes as gifts, period, for children? Like, unless you're like a parent. I mean, I feel like it's so hard. You don't know if parents have rules about clothes. You don't know if, like, what he was saying, right? Like, what textures are itchy for them. So I would say, like, rule of thumb, unless you're like the parent or the grandparent where you really know this child a lot, or maybe like an aunt or whatever, avoid that as a gift, especially with children that might have sensitivities to like their skin. Go for like a toy they really want. Ask the parents what is on their wish list, or unless they have like a specific shirt, right? Because I have had that where I go to a store and I say something like I really like that, and then let the parent know like I was gonna buy that for the kid, but maybe you can go ahead and buy it. But don't just randomly buy like the tutu skirts. They're so cute. Some children love them and some children absolutely hate them. So those are things that we may think are really cute, but I would just say, be on the safe side. Just avoid them.
So
Avoid clothes.
I would like to add something on that. I think the best option would be also if the child actually enjoys getting clothes as gifts, the best option would be giving them like a gift certificate.
Right?
I would
So they
say
can have a shopping experience.
exactly because sometimes maybe they get a sweater or like a shirt as a gift, but it doesn't fit them. And they get upset because of that as well. So it would be better for them to actually choose the clothes that they want to wear in order for them to actually enjoy it. It would be better.
There are so many choices to find clothes, and yes, gift certificates are a kind of a big deal
Right?
Yes.
because we all have to gift somebody the gift that they need, especially for those who are in real need. All right?
Yes.
So I'm going to jump into the questions for you, Carolina, and I have to talk about preparing and also how, if in the cases of a child being uncomfortable. So how can an autistic child feel uncomfortable, and how the parents can prepare for the holidays?
Yes. So, like we were already mentioning, Miguel really went into like all types of scenarios that can happen that can make, the family uncomfortable, including parents, but also the child. But also we can think of sensory overload. Sometimes you will have like a family hosting over 20 people at the same time, which can be really, really fun, but it can be really overwhelming for different people as well. So have strategies where you can maintain children entertained. So if you're hosting and you know that children are coming to your celebration, have a children's table. If you want to do like a late night and really focus on conversation with adults, get it as a group of family, get two babysitters or something, and have a fun adult night. But be aware what you want to get out of that celebration. So if you want the whole family to be there, then make sure that you cater to the children as well. Have activities, right? Have things that they can play with, things that they can draw, to make sure that the children are entertained and having fun as well, and not that they're sitting at the table just listening to adults speak and then you go like shh because adults are speaking, right? Please avoid those things. Besides that, what can also happen sometimes is that some children may have enough, right? They may get sleepy, tired, overwhelmed, and meltdowns can happen. Meltdowns can happen not only with children, autistic children, or with ADHD, but any child, especially if they're tired. So if you're hosting or if it's at your house, make sure that you have room for children to take naps if they want to take naps, but also take breaks. Have Netflix on, maybe with like children's Christmas movies, where if they don't want to be outside anymore with the adults, they can go in there, watch a movie, sleep. Have like a room with children that are having a meltdown, can go and have a break. But also in that case where that is not possible, have a strategy with your family, code words, signs, something where somebody who's feeling overwhelmed can go and be like, Mom, it's becoming too much. And mom, also listen, right? Or dad. When your child comes to you and lets you know, like if you have decided that you're going to be understanding with each other and they give you that sign, respect that sign as well. So basically what that means is that once they tell you that they're feeling overwhelmed, leave if you have to leave, take that break so that you avoid a situation that is uncomfortable for that child, but also for others.
That's right. And like you mentioned, they can watch Netflix or any streaming service like Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's very helpful for those kids with autism or any kind of a special needs person. And that's nice because you have Disney Plus, right?
I do.
I don't because I was considering that to buy Disney Plus, but I have to wait.
It's worth it.
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
I'll consider.
Yeah.
I'll consider.
I mean, yeah. I think if you have children, especially during this season, do the free month trial, right? The trial month.
Or if you have any type of age person that likes Disney.
Right.
Have it.
True.
I consider that as a.
Because they do have shows and movies that are beyond just children movies, right?
I
think their catalog has expanded. I haven't been on it, but
And it's not only Disney, it's like Pixar, Marvel.
Pixar,
okay.
Marvel,
No,
National
then
Geographic,
it sounds like totally worth it. Definitely, yes. Go do the free trial or pay for 1 month for this season at least. Because also children are gonna be home during the holidays, right? So make sure you have enough things that you can entertain them with.
Thanks for the tip. All right. Thanks for the tip.
Be creative.
All right. Now we have to jump over to traditions, and we all love holiday traditions like Dande. Dande is a cultural tradition here in Aruba that the ancestors sing. They play their instruments from house to house, and they sing the Odande Ainobe, and they also have a festival. And speaking of festivals, we do have a Dande festival this year, in the final days of December before heading to the new year. But for those people with autism, with other disabilities, it's a bit hard, is that? So, and also decorations. We all love decorations. Like, for instance, from my house, we're currently decorating a Christmas tree to prepare for the holidays. Mine's kind of like a blue-white Christmas.
Really?
Yeah. So, speaking of decorations and traditions, how can the parents prepare for decorations for the house, and how to cope with the traditions? Like the Dande festivals and all other traditions that the family did.
Well, there's a lot of ways to prepare for these things with things like decorations, and some of us may be full on decorations, so maybe it's a tip for next year. But if you're still in the decoration phase, remember that it can be kind of weird if you come home and your house is completely different. So keep that in mind. Also make them part of the decoration process. This will help them adjust, but also appreciate the decorations as well. And again, we have these magical devices that we go everywhere with called phones, smartphones.
Yes.
Use them, right? So Byron was saying something like Dande, Festival de Dande, and all that stuff. there are videos from past years on either Facebook or YouTube. Check them out. Make sure to show them to your child. Ask them if they think that is something that they want to go to. Make sure that you tell them there's a lot of people, noises, and things. Maybe they want to watch it on TV, but also let them know that on New Year's Eve, people may come over. And if they don't want to participate in the dande, maybe they can go take a break. So make sure that it's not like a big surprise, right? But also for like parties, fireworks can be like really fun, but you can also have videos. Show them videos without sound, with sound, so they have an idea of what that is like, to make sure that things are not like too surprising.
Yes, indeed. And they might do alternatives on New Year's Eve, like listening to music with the top 100. The top 100,
fun.
yes.
We do that too. We do that, and then when it reaches like 12 o'clock, and then you go and like
That
do some
countdown
fireworks.
to the new
It's
year.
so much fun.
Yes, it is. We're so into the new year.
Yes.
We cannot wait for this New Year's Eve to see the top music, the dande, all kinds of the new year, right? All right, we're almost out of time for this last edition of Stima Autista, the podcast for the year. So I'm going to leave to Carolina and to Miguel the closing statements for this podcast episode and for what's to come in the new year.
Miguel, I'm gonna give the word to you right now. What can we expect about this campaign?
Well, for this campaign, we can expect a lot of advertisements online and also on some news outlets and on some TV shows. Now, also on the podcast, as we're seeing right now. But yeah, we're just gonna spread around the word of inclusion and also the tips that we have for the holidays, so that people can be aware of what to expect, what to do, and what not to do. And just be aware of our surroundings and be inclusive in our lives, because with inclusivity we can reach many things, I believe.
Yes, definitely. I agree with everything that Miguel said, and I do want to take this moment and say thank you for wanting to volunteer with Fundacion Autismo Aruba, and being so candid about this project too. But everything that he said, but also once you see these tips, try to share them with others, and genuinely try to practice them, even if you don't have somebody with special needs like directly in your family that you will maybe be inviting over. The moment that you make these practices like your standard, you would be surprised. People that you may know who may have been embarrassed to share like special needs or special requests, they will open up and appreciate that from you. So I do encourage you not to take these tips only for children who are autistic or with ADHD or any other special needs, but just in general. I think that what Miguel said, once we focus and live like a life of inclusion and practice it as much as we do, it becomes a habit, first of all. But second of all, everybody around you feels better. So I want to leave you with that. And also, thank you, Byron and Kay, for being such a gracious host and co-host. I enjoyed listening to you so much. And I'm so excited for what we have for next year.
That's right. And we're so happy to be here in this podcast. So proud that Sopimex Studio collaborated with Fundacion Autismo to do this big of a deal that is the Stima Autista, the podcast. But don't worry, the podcast will continue in 2022. We will update you on what's going to happen next year, starting in January. Yes. And also, I have to say, from the bottom of my heart, it's been a whirlwind of a year for me with all the accomplishments that I did. Now, recently, in my school, I jumped into the third year at my night school. I was so happy. I've jumped into the fast track traject, and I'm so happy to be in this new phase of life.
And we are so proud of you too, Byron. Like, we really are.
Yes, indeed. Well,
Kay, is there anything you want to share before we close off? Anything you want to leave people with for the end of the year? Things that they should consider that maybe we didn't mention, but you have experienced? Anything?
Not
No, we said everything. Okay, no, that's fine. That's great. It makes me feel really good. Like we really covered everything.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, we just want to say to you guys listening or watching, thank you so much for being with us in the Stima Autista, the podcast journey during the final period of 2021. And now we're going to continue in 2022. Now I'm going to leave you with one more quote. It's a holiday quote, and it is from Calvin Coolidge. And Calvin said, "Christmas is not a time nor a season, but a state of mind to cherish peace and goodwill, to be plenteous in mercy, is to have the real spirit of Christmas."
That is beautiful, Byron.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, we just want to say to from all of you guys out there, have a happy holidays, have a happy 2022, and be kind to one another, to you and your family. And we will be seeing you in 2022 for the first Stima Autista podcast of 2022. For now, thank you to Subway and Swing Masters, the sponsors of Subway Mix Studio. And we will see you all next year. For now, have a great day. Have a great final days of 2021. And we'll hope to see you in the new year. Have a great day. We'll see you in next year. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.